if you've been wanting to create long form content for a while, not just short form content like Instagram posts or TikTok posts, then you may have wondered, should I create a podcast? Or maybe I should create a YouTube channel. Which one? Before we discuss which one is the most profitable and worthwhile for your business, I just want to say congratulations for even wanting to do this in the first place. If you have a client-based business, then creating long-form content like podcast episodes or a YouTube channel isn't necessary to get clients. You can do that through other ways like referrals and social media marketing. However, it does help. Back when I was a freelance graphic designer, I remember one of my most well-known clients, among other clients, told me that one of the reasons she decided to hire me and not the other designers she talked to was because of my blog and video content. She said that my content really showed her that I knew what I was talking about and that she could trust me to deliver great results. So long-form content can go a long way in helping you establish credibility and build trust with potential clients. Maybe even helping you win the client over somebody else winning them instead. If you're thinking about launching a digital product in the future, like a course or a membership site, whatever it may be, then it's pretty much a necessity to have a form of long form content, because that is what will feed traffic into what I call your conversion machine, which tends to be, the marketing funnel that you get your traffic into that sells your digital products. So even if you are a client-based business now, if you plan on selling digital products in the future, then it's really key that you start growing your audience now. And long-form content can do that. Audience growth is really important for digital product-based businesses because on average, only about 1% to 3% of your email list subscribers will actually purchase your digital product, particularly courses I'm talking about here. So if you're only going to get 1% to 3% conversion, then you need to grow that audience. Size in this case matters. So for those of you who have been wondering, should I start a podcast or should I start a YouTube channel? Before I break down which one is the most profitable and worthwhile, there's something I need to say that you may not expect. The truth is that any marketing platform can work for you when you're consistent with it. But what's really important is that you have to pick the marketing platforms that you will enjoy. Because if you pick something that you just think is, the most logical and it will perform the best, but you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to be consistent with it. And that will just kill your strategy completely. So YouTube versus podcasts. Let's first look at the pros and cons. The first pro of YouTube is that it is a search engine. Now, yes, podcasts do have a search function as well. However, YouTube just wins 100% when it comes to discoverability, because that's what people specifically intend to use YouTube for. They go to YouTube to search for content they are interested in. Whereas that's not the main function of podcasting apps. That's not the main feature that people use. When was the last time that you were interested in a topic or had a question and decided to look it up on your podcast app or on something like Instagram? Usually we go to YouTube for something like this. When we're following podcasts, they tend to be podcasts that we have found elsewhere, whether that is hearing someone being interviewed on someone else's podcast and then subscribing to theirs, or finding their podcast on Instagram or through their newsletters or through their YouTube videos. I'd say it's pretty rare that most of us open the podcasting app, search a topic and find our favorite podcasts that way. Whereas for YouTube, that can happen really often because YouTube's main goal is discoverability and search. Not to mention, YouTube is owned by Google, and Google is the biggest search engine in the world. So they really know what they're doing in terms of search, which means that you could get your videos seen by so many people because they make it a lot easier than platforms like podcasts. So the second pro to YouTube, I would say, is that they have a YouTube partner program. And what this basically means is that after you reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, you can now monetize your videos by putting ads in them. This is something that you can't necessarily do on a podcast. You can get podcast sponsors, but you could do the same thing with YouTube. You could get YouTube sponsors and at the same time make money off of YouTube ads. So there are two ways that you can make money from YouTube and not just one. The final pro I would say YouTube has is that your videos can continue getting views for years. I have a video, for instance, that was created in 2018 and it still gets views every day and it still drives affiliate sales my way. I've even got similar videos that are even older than that one that still get views. Whereas when it comes to a podcast, from what I've seen, most people tend to stick to listening to your latest episodes and not many people go scrolling back through older episodes. So the shelf life on YouTube videos is just higher. Now if we go to the podcast pros. Obviously, the first pro is that you don't have to be seen on camera. You don't have to do your makeup or your hair. And if you're an introvert, this might be a really nice prospect. Another pro is that podcasting is just easier than making videos because it's half of the work. You only have to focus on the audio, not so much the video. Sometimes you do just want to read a script perhaps, or you want to focus on your words, and you can do that with a podcast, whereas on a video you can't read from a script because people can see you reading and it just doesn't look very natural. The final pro I would say about podcasting is that it really deepens your relationships with your existing audience. So what I have noticed is that anytime I work with a coaching client, they are almost definitely a podcast listener. So whereas YouTube is more for, educational content, tutorials, how-tos, if you don't want to create that type of content, then a podcast really lends itself to other forms of content. When people listen to podcasts, they kind of feel like they're listening to a friend. They're having a conversation with a friend. It just allows you to go a bit deeper and be more conversational. So when choosing between a podcast or a YouTube channel, there are a few questions that you can ask yourself. The first one is, would I prefer regularly creating podcasts or videos? Because the thing is, if you believe that videos are going to be the most profitable, but you hate making them, and it takes you hours and hours and hours to do so, will you keep doing it week in and week out? Or if you think podcasts will be the most profitable, but you just feel bored at the prospect of making them, then will you keep doing it? The next question is, does my ideal audience prefer podcasts or YouTube? And you can find that out really easily. Just go ahead and poll them on something like Instagram, or ask some of your ideal dreamiest clients what they prefer. Because as lovely as it would be to only ever do what we would like to do in our businesses, we do have to factor in what our dreamiest clients' preferences are as well. Now, your final question is my goal to organically grow my audience or deepen my relationships with my existing audience, therefore increasing the conversion rate of followers to clients? If you really want a long-form content marketing strategy that will grow your audience organically, then YouTube is going to be your best bet if you're deciding between creating a YouTube channel or a podcast. If you really just want to increase your conversion rate of followers to clients, then a podcast might be the best way for you to do that. And if you're thinking, well, I really want to organically grow my audience, but I don't want to do YouTube, then something else that you could do instead of launching your own podcast is try and get featured on other people's podcasts. Tors Grantham, who is the video and podcast marketing expert in my course Simple Sales School, says that getting featured on other people's podcasts is a really great visibility strategy, and it's also a great way to grow your own audience without creating long-form content on your own YouTube channel or podcast. With this strategy, instead of putting all of your time and effort into creating podcast episodes that maybe only 30 of your followers ever listen to, you could put that time and energy into pitching yourself for other people's podcasts and then using their audiences to grow your own. So really, it comes down to your goals, audience growth or deepening relationships, what your ideal clients prefer, and what you think that you'll enjoy the most. That is it from me in this video, but if you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, then comment subscribed so that I can say hello and I can say thank you for subscribing.